Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today let's discuss the answer on page 410 from this book. So the question asks you to write a complete program in C++ that determines the highest test, okay, among a series of scores entered by the user. Given to you the function prototype. Okay, here you have two function prototype given. Okay, the first one is getMax function and the other one is grade function, okay, together with their parameters, right? GetMax function has two parameters. Okay, one is of type uh, reference parameter and the one is the value parameter. Okay, and as for grade function, you have one value parameter, okay, of type float, and you are also given a table, okay, that has a variation in terms of the scores. Okay, for score which is in between 80 to 100, then the grade assigned is A, and you have the other grades as well, B, C, and F. F is if the score falls between 0 until 49, below 50. Okay, so given to you the question, provide function definition for getMax function that compares between two tests. Okay, it compares between two tests and returns the highest test true reference parameter. So this is according to the first one, getMax function. So you see, for getMax function, you have two parameters. One is of type reference parameter, another one is the value parameter. So in here, you see, you have the keyword returns here. Okay, keyword returns. So in this case, this is the skeleton of the function, where you have the function name, okay, getMax function, the parameters, okay, and then the return type. Okay, why is the return type is of type void? Because the returns here, even though this is a keyword return, there is here it asks you to return true reference parameter, not through the return type. Okay, so in this case there is no return here. Okay, no return here, meaning it returns the value through reference parameter, through the parameters, but not through the return type. So that is why here the type is void and you cannot use the return keyword here. Okay, I know you'll be tempted to use return highest. You will be tempted to write return highest because it says here returns the highest test, right? But again, remember, read it carefully and completely, okay, through reference parameter. So you cannot use that statement here, okay, because of the keyword reference parameter. So the reference parameter is already been settled here using the you see the ampersand max, okay, that reflects the reference parameter. Okay, so next one, you are asked to perform comparison, okay, between two tests. So how do you perform comparison? So just compare, okay, compare two tests. You're given two location already. Okay, the first one is max and the other one is score. So max, you already have the value inside, and score also has the value. Then you compare between the two. If the current score, the value stored in score, is greater than max, then switch. Then you assign that score into max. That's it. Okay, next question is to provide the function definition on for the grade function. So grade function receives the highest test score and returns the corresponding grade. So it receives the highest score. So this one it receives through the parameter and returns the corresponding grade through the return type. Okay, so you have to write this skeleton for the function where you have the return type, you have the function name. Okay, now check the keyword. Okay, you have the grade. Grade, you may use the already displayed function prototype. Okay, you have the function name grade with the parameter float max, and then that is a keyword returns here, returns the corresponding grade. So that is one grade that you have to return. So what do you need to return? Return grade. Okay, so grade, perhaps you want to use because you already have grade here as the function name, so you don't want to return grade here. You might be confused with the term, so instead of grade, you in this case I use letter. Okay, so return letter. Letter is of type char. Okay, letter is of type char, so return char. Okay, you may check here. Okay, in the function prototype where the return type is of type char. So you already have basically the skeleton. Okay, the basic concept of the function for grade function. So now you have to perform the process for you to determine the highest test score. So highest test score, how do you determine the highest test score? So this is how you check the test score. Okay, you get the value, okay, in max. So you check the max. Max is the score actually. Okay, if the score is greater than or equal to 80 and the score in max is less than or equal to 100, then you assign A to the location letter. Okay, same goes to the rest of the range. Okay, if max is between 70 to 79, then assign B. If max is between 50 to 69, then assign C, and assign F. Okay, if the value falls into the last constraint. Okay, and then you need to return a letter. Okay, so next one, C. Okay, part C, you have to write a main function. Okay, main function that inputs 10 scores, calls the above function, and displays the higher scores. So to display, you have to use the you have to display this in the main function. So according to the this is an output, a sample output given. The highest score is okay 92 with grade A. So the highest score for 92 is grade A. So if your highest score is maybe 80, then it will follow that grade, the grade for that particular highest score, the highest value, right? So this is the skeleton for the integer main function. Okay, you have this section, the core section, the declaration, the input, okay, the process, and then the output. All right, now for the main function, first you need to input the scores. How many scores? 10 scores, because here it says here 10 scores. So you have to use the loop. Use a loop. Okay. In a loop, you have to get one score. Okay. And then call the max function to make comparison. Okay. If the score that you just entered is the highest score, then you have to switch. Okay, in this case you have to have what we call an initial value, okay, for making the comparison. Okay, So that ends the loop. Next one, call the grade function to assign the letter grade for that highest score value. Okay, then lastly display the information. Okay, how do you do this? So here is the program, okay, where you will have to you declare the score. Okay, you declare the maximum is assigned 0 because you want to get the maximum, so you want to assign the lowest value first to the location. Okay, and that is one counter for use in the for loop. Okay, so in the for loop, for the first counter, then you input the score, get the score, and then you go to the get match function to check, okay, to compare if the particular value in score is greater than the assigned the earliest the initial value assigned to max, then you switch. Okay, so here you already have the greater value stored in max. Okay, and then get another value, and then you check if that current value is greater than max, then you change. Okay, you replace the value. Okay, as you go along, then you'll get the highest value. Done with the for loop, then you go to the line number 48. Okay, call the grade function, send the maximum value, then assign the grade to that particular max value, then you display, right? So this is how you when you execute the program just now, you will have this interface. Okay, the output. Okay, so enter score, enter score, enter score. Lastly, okay, the highest score is whatever value that is the highest, okay, entered so far, then assign the grade for that particular value. So in this case, the highest is 85, the grade for this value is A. Okay, this is good, right? Next one. Now this is the refinement. Okay, now instead of you asking the user to enter score, enter score, enter score, you want to know the number, which number, score number 1, score number 2, and so in that case you just refine a bit on the output statement. So you simply need to add, okay, counter plus 1, because you start the counter with 0, so enter score, counter plus 1. So you will be prompted with a better instruction. Okay, enter score number 1, score number 2. Okay, this is much better for the user, right? Okay, next one. Now notice that it has become systematic, right? Number 1, number 2, number 3, and so on. Next one. Now what if the user enters invalid score? What if the user enters such as -5 and 120? These values are of course invalid, because a valid score is only from 0 to 100, right? Okay, if the user entered -5, of course you cannot count that value. So how do you refine the program? So in this case, see here, score number 3, score number 4, and score number 5, these are invalid scores. So for invalid scores, we don't want to accept. So if the user entered invalid score, we would like the user to re-enter, and then we do not want to count that counter for that particular score value. Okay, how do we do that? Okay, in this case, we have to amend the program. Okay, now check. Okay, only if the score is between 0 and 100. If outside this range, okay, then you have to display a message telling that the score entered is invalid. So ask the user to enter a valid score and then decrease the counter. Okay, decrease the counter and then continue, meaning we would like the statement, the process, the control to go and repeat. Okay, repeat again the for loop. Okay, so next, this is how it will be processed. Okay, enter score 1 valid value, score 2 valid value, score 3 is invalid. For invalid value, then you will display invalid score entered. Please enter a valid score. So see, enter score 3, the same value, kan? Same cycle, but your user is asked to re-enter. Okay, so valid, then only you go to next one. Okay, invalid, ask the user to re-enter. Okay, valid, then proceed to next one, right? So that is basically how you do it. You refine the program, right? So that's all. Thanks for watching. I hope you will find this beneficial for you. Okay.